All right, so we're back and ready to dive into another career deep dive. And this time we're focusing on the world of baking, which honestly sounds pretty delicious to me. We've got all of RoleCatcher's resources prepped and ready to go, their baker career guide, their interview guide, and we even got a little sneak peek at their awesome AI platform. So let's get started.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. So one thing that's super interesting about baking as a career is, a lot of people think it's just about following recipes.
Hmm.
But in a professional setting, it's a lot more than just flour and sugar.
Yeah, totally. And the career guide actually breaks it down really well. It
Hmm.
goes into the whole scope of the job,
Yeah.
like working with raw materials and managing those sometimes temperamental ovens.
Right, exactly.
And then there's also the whole customer service aspect,
Yeah.
which I think a lot of people don't even consider.
Yeah, definitely. It's a whole blend of skills you need, like culinary skills, obviously, but also business savvy and people skills.
For sure. And that's where I think these interview questions get really interesting
Absolutely.
because they really want to see if you can handle the heat.
Yeah, literally and figuratively, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's jump into the first question,
Yeah.
which is kind of a classic. What inspired you to become a baker? It seems pretty basic, but it's always a good starting point.
Yeah, and it really sets the tone for the whole interview. So for this one, I'd say authenticity is key. You don't want to just give a generic answer like, oh, I love to bake, dig a little deeper.
Mm.
What was that spark that ignited your passion for baking?
Yeah, like tell us your baking origin story.
Exactly. Was it a family tradition, maybe?
Yeah.
Or a specific pastry that just blew your mind?
Oh, or maybe like the science behind it.
Yeah.
The whole chemistry of how perfect rise happens.
Yeah, exactly. Find that personal connection and let that passion shine through.
I love that. Okay, so let's say they follow up with something like, what are some of your favorite things to bake?
Mm.
What's the strategy there?
Okay, so with that one, you want to connect it back to the job you're interviewing for. Do your research on the bakery. What are they known for? What kind of products they specialize in? So if it's a bakery that's famous for its artisan breads, you can talk about your experiments with sourdough.
Oh, yeah.
Or if it's a high-volume place that's known for its cookies, you could mention your efficiency with large batches.
Right, so you're showing them you're a good fit.
Exactly. You're not just listing random favorites. You're demonstrating that you understand their needs.
Okay, that's super smart. Now let's get into some of the more technical questions. Like this one. What's your experience working with different types of dough?
All right, so this is where you really get to showcase your knowledge. Don't just rattle off a bunch of dough names. Pick a few that you're really comfortable discussing and explain the nuances of each one.
Yeah, what are the challenges? What have you learned through your experience?
Right, so you could talk about a basic yeast dough, maybe a laminated dough like puff pastry.
Oh, puff pastry is so tricky.
It is, yeah, and then maybe something a little more unique, like a chew pastry.
Cream puffs. And this is where I think RoleCatcher's AI can be really helpful, because it can actually analyze the job description and highlight keywords to use.
Oh, yeah, that's a great point.
So if they're specifically looking for someone with artisan bread skills, you can really emphasize your sourdough mastery.
Yeah, it's like having a personalized cheat sheet for each interview.
Totally. Okay, so back to those doughs. What if they threw you a curveball? Like, have you ever encountered a problem with a dough and how did you solve it?
Ooh, yeah, that's a tricky one.
Feels like a trap.
It can be, but it's also a great opportunity to show off your problem-solving skills. So think of a specific example, maybe a time when a dough wasn't rising properly.
Yeah, that's a classic baking problem.
It is. And then walk them through your thought process. How did you identify the issue? What steps did you take to correct it?
So it's not just about the problem itself, it's about how you approached it.
Exactly, and it also highlights that attention to detail, which is so crucial in baking.
Absolutely. Okay, next question. How do you ensure quality and consistency in your products?
All right, so this one is all about precision. Talk about accurate measurements, temperature control, even those visual cues that tell you a bake is on point.
Yeah, like knowing when a cake is perfectly golden brown.
Exactly. And don't forget to mention those little extra steps you take, like checking the oven calibration regularly.
Right, because that can make a huge difference.
It can. You're showing them you're not just following a recipe blindly. You're understanding the why behind each step.
Yeah, and that you're proactive about maintaining those high standards.
For sure.
Okay, now for a question that might throw some people off. How do you stay up to date with current baking trends and techniques?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Why is this so important to employers?
Well, it shows them that you're passionate and that you're committed to continuous learning. The baking world is constantly evolving, so they want someone who's eager to stay ahead of the curve.
Right, makes sense. So how do you impress them with your answer?
Be specific. Mention specific resources that you follow.
Oh, like industry publications and websites.
Exactly. Or maybe you follow some influential bakers on social media.
Yeah, there are some amazing bakers on Instagram.
There are. You could also mention if you've attended any workshops.
Right, or if you've experimented with a new technique or ingredient.
Yeah, show them that you're actively seeking out new knowledge.
So it's not enough to just say, I follow baking trends. You have to show them how you do it.
Right, you have to back it up with examples.
Okay, love that. Now let's shift gears a little bit and talk about a more fast-paced scenario, like a busy bakery environment. So the question is, how do you prioritize tasks in a busy bakery environment?
All right, so this one is about more than just baking skills. It's about time management.
Yeah.
And your ability to handle pressure.
Yeah, and to think on your feet.
Exactly. So imagine a typical day in a bakery. You've got orders to fill doughs, to proof ovens going, maybe even customers coming in asking for a fresh loaf.
It can get pretty hectic.
It can. So how do you organize all of that?
Yeah, how do you stay on top of everything?
Right. Maybe you have a system for prioritizing tasks based on deadlines. Or you're really good at delegating.
Oh, or maybe you have a mental checklist.
Yeah, something like that. You want to show them that you can handle the heat.
Literally.
Literally and figuratively.
And what if something unexpected happens? Like a rush order comes in, or a piece of equipment breaks down.
All right, so that's your chance to really shine. Explain how you would adapt, how you would reprioritize and keep things running smoothly.
Right, so you're showing them you're a problem solver.
Exactly. And that you can think on your feet.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. But before we move on to some more career-focused insights, I just want to reiterate how RoleCatcher can help with all of these interview questions.
Yeah, definitely.
Their AI is seriously amazing at tailoring your answers to each specific job description.
It's true. It analyzes those keywords.
Yeah.
And helps you sprinkle them throughout your responses.
Yeah, so you're really highlighting the skills they're looking for.
Exactly. And don't forget about the practice interview feature with the AI-powered feedback.
Oh yeah, that's such a game changer.
It's like having a personal coach in your pocket.
Totally. All right, so let's take a quick break, and then we'll dive into some career insights from RoleCatcher's Baker Career Guide.
Okay, so let's sprinkle in some of those career insights from the Baker Career Guide.
Yeah, I was actually surprised by how many different career paths there are. You're not just stuck in one bakery forever.
Exactly, and it's not just about becoming head baker, although that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
You could also specialize in a certain area, like becoming a pastry chef.
Oh, yeah.
Or even branch out into something like food styling.
A recipe development.
Yeah, there are so many options.
And of course, there's always the entrepreneurial route. I feel like every baker dreams of opening their own bakery someday.
Yeah, it's a pretty common dream. And the guide actually gives some good advice on how to make that happen.
Yeah, talks about things like creating a solid business plan.
Right.
And understanding the financial side of things.
And marketing your unique offerings.
Yeah, and it also emphasizes networking.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like building relationships within the industry.
Exactly, like attending industry events or joining professional associations.
Right, because it's not just what you know, it's who you know.
Exactly. And speaking of knowing things, the guide also highlights the importance of continuous learning.
Oh yeah, the baking world is constantly changing.
It is, so staying up to date is crucial.
And the guide mentions some great resources for that, like trade publications and online courses.
Yeah, and don't forget about workshops.
Oh yeah, those can be amazing.
They are. You can learn so much from experienced bakers.
And let's not forget about social media.
Right, social media is a great resource.
Yeah, you can follow all those amazing bakers and pastry chefs.
And get inspiration and tips.
Exactly. It's like a constant stream of delicious knowledge.
Totally. Now let's loop back to those interview questions for a second.
Okay.
Because every question is a chance to show off your passion and expertise.
Right.
And RoleCatcher's AI can really help you nail those answers.
Yeah, their platform is incredible for analyzing job descriptions. Yeah. And figuring out exactly what the employer is looking for.
It's like having a personalized cheat sheet for each interview.
And then there's the practice interview feature.
Yeah.
With the AI-powered feedback.
Oh, yeah. That's a game changer.
It is.
It helps you fine-tune your delivery and boost your confidence.
Okay, so let's tackle a few more questions that you might encounter in a baker interview.
Okay, sounds good.
How about this one? What are your strengths and weaknesses as a baker? That one always feels a little tricky.
Yeah, it can be. But remember, honesty and self-awareness are key
Okay.
when you're talking about your strength. Be specific and give examples.
right? Don't just say, I'm organized. Explain how your organizational skills have helped you in the past.
Exactly. Maybe you streamlined a production process or improved efficiency in a previous role.
So show them. Don't just tell them.
Exactly. And when it comes to weaknesses, choose something that you're actively working to improve. So maybe you're a perfectionist, but sometimes that makes you struggle with time management.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
Right. So acknowledge the weakness, but then explain what you're doing to overcome it.
So turn it into a positive.
Exactly. And remember, even weaknesses can be strengths in disguise.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, like that perfectionism might slow you down sometimes, but it also means that you produce really high-quality work.
True. Okay, here's another question that might make some people nervous. Describe a time you had to deal with a difficult customer or coworker.
Yeah, that's a classic.
Why do you think they ask this question?
Because they want to see how you handle conflict. Every workplace has its share of difficult people, so they want to know that you can navigate those situations professionally.
Right. So how do you answer this one?
Choose an example that shows off your communication skills
There.
and your empathy and problem-solving abilities.
Yeah.
So maybe you had to deal with a customer who was unhappy with their order. Explain how you listened to their concerns and found a solution that worked for everyone.
And what if it was a coworker who was causing the problem?
Focus on staying professional and communicating clearly and respectfully.
Okay.
You don't want to badmouth anyone or place blame.
Right.
Just explain how you worked towards a resolution.
So you're showing them that you can handle tough situations.
Exactly.
Okay, let's switch gears to a more fun question. Why do you want to work at this bakery?
Oh, I like this one.
Yeah, this is your chance to show them you've done your research
Exactly.
and that you're genuinely interested.
So mention specific things that drew you to their bakery.
Like their reputation for quality,
Great.
or maybe their commitment to using local ingredients.
Or their amazing Instagram feed.
Yeah, that's always a good sign.
It is. You want to show them that you're not just looking for any baking job. You're looking for their baking job.
Exactly. And if you can connect your personal values to what their bakery stands for,
Yeah.
that's even better.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Okay, so before we move on to our final thoughts, let's talk about how RoleCatcher can help you with all of these interview questions.
Oh, yeah, their AI platform is amazing.
It is.
It's like having a personal interview coach right in your pocket.
Totally.
It analyzes job descriptions, helps you tailor your answers, and gives you feedback on your delivery.
It's a game changer for sure.
It is.
All right, let's take a quick break, and then we'll wrap things up with some final thoughts and tips. All right, so we've talked about a lot of really useful stuff today, from technical skills to those sometimes tricky interview questions.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
And we even explored different career paths in the baking world.
It's amazing how many opportunities there are.
It really is.
And I think one of the key takeaways here is that being a successful baker is about more than just knowing your recipes.
Yeah, you need those technical skills.
Oh, absolutely.
But you also need to be able to think critically
Huh.
and problem solve.
Right. And adapt to new challenges.
Which reminds me of that question about staying up to date with trends.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just about knowing the latest fad pastry.
It's about showing them you're a lifelong learner. You're constantly growing and pushing your baking boundaries.
And speaking of boundaries,
I was really impressed by all the different career paths that RoleCatcher highlighted.
me too. It's not just about working in a traditional bakery.
Right, you could specialize in pastry or become a master bread baker. You could even go into food styling or recipe development.
There are so many options.
There are.
And of course, RoleCatcher's AI platform can be a huge help in navigating all of this.
Oh, absolutely.
Their tools can help you tailor your resume and cover letter.
Right, make sure you're highlighting the skills they're looking for.
And then the practice interview feature
Yeah.
with the AI feedback, it's amazing.
It's like having a personal coach in your pocket.
It is. So as you're getting ready for that big interview, remember, it's about more than just your baking skills.
It's about showing them your passion,
Yes.
your problem-solving skills,
Yeah.
your commitment to food safety, your ability to adapt and grow.
You're not just baking a cake, you're baking a career. And with a little help from RoleCatcher and a lot of hard work, that career can rise to some pretty amazing heights.
It can.
So here's something to think about. As you embark on this journey, how can you blend your unique skills and passions to create something truly special?
Yeah, like a signature offering that sets you apart.
Maybe it's a unique flavor combination
Yeah.
or a focus on sustainability.
Or maybe you specialize in allergy-friendly treats.
Whatever it is, let that passion be your guide. Keep learning, keep experimenting, keep that oven preheated.
And happy baking.
Happy baking, everyone.